Welcome to Middle School Math Course 1, Unit 5, Ratios and Rates. Topic 2, Rates, Unit Rates, Proportions. For the sake of remembering, let's go over this image one more time that you have seen in a previous video. A rate is a type of ratio. A rate compares two quantities with different units. For example, we can compare distance and time. Let's look at this example. A car travels 60 miles in 1 hour. So the two units that we are comparing is miles an hour. Miles for distance, hours for time. Because the units are different, this is called a rate. Let's write rate. When we write it, we write 60 miles per hour. Again, as a reminder, the word per means for each. So 60 miles for each hour. 60 miles for each hour. So 60 miles per hour is how we read it. So this means the car travels 60 miles for every hour, for every 1 hour, for each 1 hour that it is driven. So now let's think about some real life examples, okay? So rates are used every single day. Some common rates that we come across, not with the exact numbers, but with the understanding that we're speaking about rates, would be like 60 miles per hour when traveling, $5 per notebook when buying something, 20 words per minute if we're typing or reading, 3 gallons per minute. Okay, and hopefully you're not reading just 20 words per minute, but it's possible that someone could be reading that. Each one compares two different units, 60 miles per hour, miles and hours, dollars per item, which is notebook, words per minute, gallons per minute. So each one of those compared two different units. So just a brief reminder, a rate compares two quantities, two amounts with different units. The word per means for each. 60 miles per minute means 60 miles are traveled in every 1 hour. Rates help us compare things like distance and time, money and items, or work and time. Now let's learn how to find a rate. Remember, a rate compares two quantities with different units. In this example, we are comparing miles and hours. Look at the example. A car travels 240 miles in 4 hours. We want to know how many miles does the car travel in 1 hour. So that is called the unit rate because it tells us the amount for one unit, or basically the amount for 1 hour. Okay, so find the unit rate first. To find the unit rate, divide the total miles by the total hours. So we have 240 miles divided by 4 hours. And that will give us 60. So the car travels 60 miles in 1 hour. Very important for us to understand that. So let's write the rate. We write the rate as 60 miles per hour. The word per again means for each. So the car travels 60 miles for every 1 hour. So let's remember, a rate compares two quantities with different units. A unit rate compares a quantity to one unit. To find a unit rate, divide the total number by the number of units. 240 miles divided by 4 hours gave me 60 miles per hour. The words per hour means for every 1 hour. So just quickly again, the question was how many miles does the car travel in 1 hour? We had 240. We divided it by 4, and we received our answer. It traveled 60 miles per hour. Excellent job. Now let's dive deeper into unit rates. Okay? So a unit rate is a rate that compares something to one unit. A unit rate is a rate that compares something to one unit. A unit rate helps us answer questions like, how much does one item cost? How far do you travel in 1 hour? How many miles are in 1 gallon? How much does 1 pound cost? So now you get it. This is very important to learn. This is extremely important because we ask questions like that when we are attempting to do something. If I'm trying to buy something and it's several for that amount, I want to know how much it's going to cost me for one of those items, not 7 of them, not 5 of them. So if I'm trying to travel somewhere and it's going to be an 8-hour trip, I need to know how far I'm going to travel in 1 hour. How much distance am I going to cover in that 1 hour? If the total trip is a certain amount of time. Okay? So it's extremely important to understand this. So pay attention. So let's look at the example. A bag of apples costs $4.80 for 3 pounds. But we want to know, how much does 1 pound cost? I don't want 3 pounds. I would only want 1 pound. So that is called unit rate, because we're finding the cost for 1 pound versus all 3 pounds. So find the unit rate. To find the unit rate, divide the total cost by the total number of pounds. $4.80 divided into 3 equals $1.60. So now we know the cost of 1 pound of apples would be $1.60. So this is how we write the answer. The unit rate is $1.60 per pound. Excellent. The word per, again, the word per means for each. So each pound of apples cost $1.60. So let's remember, a unit rate compares something to one unit. To find a unit rate, divide the total amount by the number of units. $4.80 divided into 3 gave us $1.60. Therefore, the unit rate is $1.60 per pound of apples. The word per means for each. Excellent job. Now let's learn about proportions. A proportion is an equation that shows 2 ratios are equal. That means the 2 ratios compare things in the same way, even if the numbers are different. Look at the example. We have these 2 ratios. 2/3 equals 4/6. At first, they look different, but they actually describe the same relationship. So how can we check? A quick way is to use cross multiplication. Multiply across the fractions. 2 times 6 equals 12. 3 times 4 also equals 12. So both answers are 12. Since the cross products are equal, the 2 ratios form a proportion. So how does this work? The second ratio was made by multiplying both numbers in the first ratio by 2. So 2 times 2 equals 4. 3 times 2 equals 6. So because both parts were multiplied by the same number, the relationship stayed exactly the same. Excellent job. Excellent job, Creative Learning Adventurers. You made it to the end. Like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And don't forget, click one of the boxes that appears on here to show you we have new courses that's available, as well as the next video for this course is also available in one of those little images above, one of those little videos above. So have a good day.